headband's falling. I don't have a round head. My mom and dad, I guess, refused to carry me as a child and left me on the floor. And now I have a nice flat head. Hola, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yaneli, and today I'm going to be talking about Holotaco's holiday collection. So this collection is released as an advent calendar consisting of 12 items in the collection. So I do want to give a huge disclaimer because I did receive this collection early to create a nail art look for Holotaco to use on their social platforms. So I was paid to create the nail art look using a couple of products from this collection. However, this review, this video that you're watching has nothing to do with the compensation that I received for the nail art look. As usual, all thoughts and opinions are my own honest truths, and boy do I have some, shall we say, constructive criticism of sorts near the final thoughts portion of this video, so stick around for that. In terms of pricing, this advent calendar retails for $119 USD, and it consists of 8 polishes and 4 nail accessories. I did email Holotaco to see if the items were going to be sold individually, kind of like how they do typically. I am sad to report that that is not the case for this collection. The only way for you to get anything from this advent calendar is to purchase the advent calendar. As always, I will have comparisons and final thoughts near the end of the video. I'm gonna go about this by doing a dice roll because I could just do the usual, like going 1 through 12 and, you know, doing it the normie way. But I think the dice seems more fun. It's randomized. It's gonna feel a little chaotic in my opinion, at least the way my brain processes what should be shown first. So I'm gonna be using a D12 to roll to open what number on the collection box, and I'm dubbing these the 12 dice of Christmas. So without further ado, let's get into looking at the collection box itself and then into swatches. So a quick glance on the exterior of the advent calendar showcases a little village amidst the snow, surrounded by trees, and then the back just gives you a very broad understanding of what's inside the collection box itself. When lifting the lid and looking at the lid, you see the number 6, which was hidden in the majority of the marketing, and then the main proportion of the box contains the miniatures and the other nail accessories. Again, that same snowy village going throughout. Going in with our first roll, we have here a 10, and number 10 hides this cute little topper called Wreath Havoc Taco, and from what I can see, this is a multi-chrome foiled flake topper. Real quick, I do want to showcase how the mini bottles compare to the full-size bottles of Holotaco. The minis are 7 milliliters while the full-size ones are 12. Overall, since this is a topper, I'm not going for like full coverage, but I did want to do 2 coats just to see how much it could build up, and no surprise, it did build up rather nicely. It gives a good distribution of these flakes. Now, the predominant colors that I see from this topper is purple and green, and then at certain angles I can see some blue and teal, and then at extreme angles I can get a glimpse of orange. Formulation of this topper is a little bit thick, just a little bit, not difficult to apply though, so still very workable. And surprisingly, I only needed 1 coat of top coat as the topper itself didn't dry textured, so 1 coat of top coat was enough for me to maintain the smooth finish. And of course, as a topper, I want to showcase it on different base colors, and later on in the video I'll showcase it with the colors that are already within the advent calendar, so stick around for that. And I gotta say, I prefer this both glossy and matte. It can't go wrong with either finishes. Our next roll reveals the number 8, and I love the little packaging of the number 8 with the 8 figure for the skating, of course. It's so cute. But what's behind box number 8 is a mini version of Holotaco's hand cream. This one is peppermint scented, and I did do a wear test and I have been wearing it for a couple of days now as like my main hand cream. And overall, for me, I think the scent is just at a good level of strong. I am someone that doesn't prefer really heavily scented scented things. So this is on the subtle side where as I'm rubbing it in, I can sniff it, but it disperses as, you know, time goes on. It's not like in your face. If you are someone that like breathes and lives Bed Bath & Beyond scents, you are probably going to be disappointed with the strength of this lotion. Forewarning, do not rub your eyes after applying this lotion. It will sting them. Don't ask me how I know, but just trust me on this. But yeah, overall, it's comparable to the usual hand cream that Holo Taco has. That is one of my main hand creams as of late. I have one in almost every single room. I just love that it's not like a greasy sensation, and this one's no different. On the third roll of Christmas, my dice gave to me the number 6. And the number 6 comes with its own envelope, and within the envelope is the Starburst nail stickers. Now, they give you a lot of stickers in my opinion, because each sheet is 12 by 8. 12 by 8 is 96, and you get 3 of them. Times 3, it's 288. Quite a bit to go around, and honestly, my heart hurt using them because I did get commissioned to create nail art for this collection, right? And one of the requirements was using the nail art stickers, and usually I am a sticker hoarder, so I don't even bother touching the stickers, but I had to for the commissioned work that Holo Taco wanted. Real quick, I do want to showcase how easy it is to pick up the stickers. The stickers kind of have a 3D element to it, and although I don't have much experience in nail decals or nail stickers, these were one of the grippiest, stickiest stickers I've ever had. I don't have the strongest C curve, so for me, these stickers laid very nice and flat. I didn't have any bumps or dumps, you know, on there, but again, I don't have the strongest or sharpest C in the shed, so those with a deeper C curve, and by C curve I mean like the C that your nail forms when you look at it bird's eye view kind of thing, and I feel like those with deeper C's could maybe have some lifting, but like I really love the sticky strength that these stickers have. Now with these decal stickers or nail stickers, you do want to make sure that your base color that you're putting the stickers on is dried, and you want to make sure you're decisive on where you want it, because once you try to lift that sticker to readjust, it does lift the polish underneath, causing you to have that texture. And of course, if the polish underneath is not dry, you get this little bulge of sorts, like an indentation, you know. Right here, I'm kind of just forcing it to showcase what I mean. So where the 4-point star is, you see that bump or that raised area there from me pressing the sticker on a not fully dried base polish. So again, you want to be decisive, and you also want to have patience in making sure that your base color is fully dried. The only con that I had for these stickers was that sometimes when I try to pick them up from the sheet, I would accidentally break the tip point of some of the stars. So I guess be careful on how aggressive you are picking the stickers up from the nail, but otherwise these are very flush stickers. I didn't see it raised when I put my top coat on the nail art design that I did for Holo Taco. For our fourth roll, we have the number 9, and number 9 hides behind a pirouette pink crushed holographic polish with these yellow to orange shimmers going throughout. So for me, this is a very, very light pink. On the first coat, it gave me the vibes of a neutral polish compared to my skin tone, but as I built it up to the second coat, the pink did surface up a bit more. But this is one of those pinks that it's also muted, and I think it's muted because of the amount of crushed holo that's in this formula, and crushed holo is typically silvers. Overall, really easy to work with formula, not difficult whatsoever. I got full coverage in 2 coats, and this polish does not dry textured, so I only needed 1 coat of top coat to get a smooth, even finish, which I highly recommend you do add a glossy top coat unless you like the frosted look of matte, but if you want to get some glimpse of the holo, definitely add glossy. For our next roll, we have the number 2, and what hides behind box number 2 is Silent Night, which is a dark navy blue Crelly polish. So typically Crellys and jellies don't like being swatched on my thumb because my thumb is textured and I have indents going on, and usually the polishes like to pool in my indents, and this one's no exception. So the first coat did provide a good color payout. The second coat did a better job covering up some of the patchiness that the first coat had. However, it was still patchy. There were some dark blotches where my indents are, but lighter areas near the cuticles. So I went in with a third coat, and I feel like a third coat definitely helped in getting even coverage on my thumb. I definitely prefer the overall look of 2 coats with this polish, as you could still see the blue on the third coat. It's tiptoeing on wanting to be an off black with a tint of blue, and I did test it out on one of my other nails, which is much smoother, and 2 coats was definitely all I needed for that said nail, as it's smoother, doesn't have those indents of sorts. So on my thumb I'll probably use a smoothing base coat or blurring base just to get the 2 coat coverage that I like. Now a little bit about this formula is that it is easy to work with. It does self level out nicely in my opinion, but obviously those with textured nails, like, you're gonna notice the unevenness of it. Going into our next roll, we have the number 3, and what lies behind door number 3 is a gold scattered hollow taco topper. Now I have been wanting a gold hollow topper, or a gold polish. Honestly, I'm gold deprived at this point, but I am so happy with it. On the first coat, the distribution of the gold glitter and the gold hollow is very nice, and then going in with the second coat you just get an even bigger glitter payout, but it still looks dainty. It almost has the look and feel of sand, honestly, but 1 coat of a top coat smooths things out because it does have a slight texture to it. And of course I had to showcase the topper in other colors. It will be shown on how it looks with the other colors of this advent calendar later on in the video. Applying this was very easy. There's not much to it, honestly, and again, the way the gold and the hollow is evenly distributed amongst the nail is just very, very nice. And I love the way it looks matte too, because with the matte top coat it almost gives the illusion that it has a reflective topper sort of vibe. Going in with our next roll, we have the number 7. So lucky 7 has a very long box. Inside the box we have a cleanup brush. So this cleanup brush is silver, where compared to the original one that Holo Taco has, it's very different in that regard. Also, this cleanup brush does have a casing on the bristles, so you definitely want to go through it with your fingers to break the seal. Mine's already been broken because I have been using this brush to clean up near the cuticle because it's so thin, especially when you compare it next to the original. The original feels a little thicker in the bristle area. And then something that I don't like about the new cleanup brush is the cap. The cap feels very loose. For the original one, I have to use some force, not a lot of course, but there is some resistance in trying to open up the cap, whereas the new one, it's very easy, like little to any give needs to be done. And then because I did feel like they weigh differently, I felt like the original one was heavier than the newer one. What better way to test it than to actually weigh it? Because I don't know if my different hands just have different strength or whatever, but the original one weighs in at 11 grams, and then when I weigh in the newer one, that one is 10 grams. Now, could it be because the original one has polish on it and that gram came from the polish that the original one has? Who could say? But when I hold the two together, I definitely feel like the newer one is lighter, and honestly, it feels a little, I would say cheap. I don't know. Like, I feel like they could have done more with the brush. We could have had snowflakes imprinted on them or something, but just a silver cleanup brush with the white Holo Taco logo on it, like, okay, guys. We could have gotten a little bit more creative, I feel. For our next roll, we have number 1, and number 1's another really long box, and in the box is a crystal nail file. So I've never owned any of the original Holo Taco crystal nail files. I started off with Amazon ones, and then I purchased the mooncat one because I liked how all black it was. And this new Holo Taco one is very thin, in my opinion, compared to the mooncat shapeshifter one. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the holo taco one feels very fragile, like one whack on my thigh and it's like game over kind of thing. But I haven't done it yet, so I can't say. And also, mooncat's crystal file is a teensy bit longer than holo taco's, and both sides of the holo taco crystal nail file is usable, so it's not just one side. There is no grit difference between the two sides. They all feel the same smooth grit, and because it is so thin, I feel like I can use it to file the side walls of my nails because I have square nails, so I of course want to make sure my sides are straight, but I don't like over file them. Like, definitely don't do that. It's just a little bit. So I think this one's definitely going to replace the other file that I would normally use to file the side walls of my nails typically. But yeah, other than that, it's a crystal nail file, you know, nothing really screams holiday. I feel like it looks better than the original holo taco crystal files, but that's just me. For our 9th roll, we have here box number 4. Box number 4 holds Call Me Vixen, and Vixen is this beautiful dark red polish with scattered holo and this red glitter in the mix. This is a beautiful dark cranberry red, and the formula of this polish is so easy to work with for me. It gave me excellent payout on the first coat, but there were some patchy areas where I felt a second coat was needed. But also with the second coat, the color really deepened itself. It's more of a blackened red almost, whereas the first coat was more cranberry colored of sorts. I also want to point out how funny it is that Holo Taco gave us a dark vampy red for the holiday collection and gave us a bright holiday red for the Halloween collection. So the duality of reds, if you will. And then this is the polish that I used to create the nail art that Holo Taco commissioned me for, and I've had it open and closing multiple times, and the fact that it still performs really well even after all this air exposure I think really speaks to it. And I do want to showcase the nail art that I did using Call Me Vixen and the Starburst stickers. It's what I would consider somewhat simple. The hardest ones was honestly the squiggles in the middle nail, but yeah, overall very good polish. It doesn't dry textured and self levels so nicely. A top coat is all I need for a smooth, even finish. For our next roll, we have the number 12, and look at the little cat on the window of this box. So cute. Now, number 12 is Diamond Dasher Taco. Now, this is a chunky glitter topper, and you can see it on the first coat how big these glitters are. So we have some hexagonal glitters and some diamond glitters as well. Here it is on a much closer scale, and you can see the different shapes, but also the different sizes of hollow glitters in this topper. Like, you have smaller hexagonals and then slightly bigger hexagonals, but then you also can see some of them are more square off versus hexagonal. It's very cool to look at this topper very up close. But I got curious as to how much it could build up with a second coat. So going in with the second coat, I kind of struggled a little bit because me being me, I wanted to make sure that the big glitters didn't overlap or lay on top of each other. And so what I'm doing is overworking the polish. And so I definitely don't recommend that. But also I have to say, as a personal preference, I prefer how this topper looks with one coat of it. I don't like how busy and crowded it looks with two coats. If that's your jam, baby, go at it. Now, with this being a chunky glitter topper, it is a little bit on the thick side. However, it was surprisingly very easy to work with and apply on the nail. The only issue is that sometimes you get some real big glitters that want to be half on the nail and half off the nail, so you just kind of gotta push them back on the nail. And due to it being a chunky glitter topper, it does dry textured. I found out that I needed 2 coats of top coat for me to have an even smooth finish. For our final roll, we have here number 11, and box 11 contains Ice Angel, and Ice Angel is an icy white silver linear holograph polish with this yellow to orange shimmer going throughout. So the first coat, as is the tails of linear holographic polishes, applied very nice, very good coverage on that first coat. And linear polish also have the lore of them applying very nicely, and this one's also no exception. However, I did go in with 2 coats just to get that full coverage. Something I did notice is that the polish does dry semi-matte, so if you want that hollow flare going on, I highly recommend going in with a glossy top coat. If you want a more frosty look, definitely go in with a matte top coat. I think the shimmer is a nice touch, however we've definitely seen this variant before. A white silver hollow of sorts with some yellow / orangey shimmers, and I'll definitely be showcasing those in the comparisons portion of the video. And lastly, we have the 12th box, and this is box number 5, and in it is in a flurry. So in a flurry is a light blue frosted metal with scattered hollow going in the mix. And I mean, I think we're all thinking it, is this Cold Shoulders 2.0? I know Cold Shoulders was more vibrant and more blue, and this is a much lighter frosty blue. They could be cousins, I guess, but it's Cold Shoulders 2.0, right? Anywho's, this polish is very easy to work with. It's on the sheer side, as you can see in the first coat, where you can see the blue jelly base and then the individual metallic flakes of sorts. So for me, 2 coats was enough for full coverage, and because the first coat was that sheer, I wanted to test it as a topper, so I put it over black, gray, and white. I definitely like the look of it over gray. It still maintains that blue hue to it. Over white, it's a little patchy. And honestly, frosted metals are like flashbangs on your nails essentially, so even a matte top coat can't contain the reflectiveness of it. For me, I only needed 1 coat of top coat to have that smooth, even finish at the end. It didn't feel like it dried texture or anything. So real quick, I did want to showcase the 3 toppers within the collection and how they look over the other polishes in this collection. So up first we have Wreath Havoc Taco over in a flurry on the thumb, and then on the right side from pointer to pinky we have Ice Angel, Call Me Vixen, Silent Night, and Pirouette Pink. I really enjoy how it looks over Call Me Vixen and Silent Night. I feel like it adds a little extra oomph to it. Over Ice Angel and Pirouette Pink, I feel like those are too dainty to have such a powerful topper of sorts, if that makes sense. Next up we have Gold Scattered Hollow Taco, and I feel like this one is very hard to see on In a Flurry, Ice Angel, and Pirouette Pink. Again, Call Me Vixen and Silent Night really showcase the toppers much better. With Ice Angel and Pirouette Pink, I barely notice it. I think for In a Flurry, it just gives it more scattered hollow effect to it when you see the hollow out of focus of sorts, but otherwise it's pretty much lost in there. And lastly, we have Diamond Dasher Taco, and over In a Flurry, I really like how the bigger hollow glitters showcase themselves better. The tiny hollows in there, similar to the Gold Scatter, they're kind of just lost. And then I feel like this looks good over the other 4, mainly because it's more visible. Like you can see that this is a hollow topper of sorts. Nothing's really lost, and it just adds extra elements to it. Do I prefer it over Call Me Vixen? No. I feel like Call Me Vixen is now being overtaken by Diamond Dasher, but I do like how it looks over Ice Angel, Silent Night, and Pirouette Pink, and I really think it complements In a Flurry. Alright, moving on over to different lighting. So I didn't feel like going outside, but there was sun peeking out my window, and here we are. Of course, the polishes that contain any hollow aspect to it perform the best in sunlight equivalent shots. So In a Flurry, definitely Ice Angel, and even Pirouette Pink is showcasing just a little bit of hollow, and of course the Scatter Hollow in Call Me Vixen. Silent Night, you can see the blue better in this lighting, but otherwise it's just there. Now moving on to the toppers. From left to right, I have Wreath Havoc Taco, Gold Scattered Hollow Taco, and Diamond Dasher Taco. So they don't really change in how they appear in this lighting. They look pretty much the same as they did at my nail desk while I was initially filming them. But I feel like in this angle, you can definitely see more of the shiftiness that Wreath Havoc Taco has versus just the standard purple to green. Now here are the polishes inside in the shade, and the one that shines the absolute best and thrives in this lighting is In a Flurry. Look how beautiful it looks, so metallic, so shiny without flashbanging us. Great. Ice Angel really dulled out. The shimmer is kind of taking over where the holo is now dulled. Same with Call Me Vixen. The holo isn't really there, but you can't see the particles of the red glitters and the red is more poppin'. Silent Night almost looks black here. And then Pirouette Pink, that shimmer is really kind of helping it, but because of the crushed holo, it almost gives it a metallic look to it in my opinion. Now for the toppers, honestly they all look really fantastic in this lighting, especially Wreath Havoc, where the metallic foil flakes kind of shine and give us the other color variants that it can't shift to. I also really like how the gold scattered holo taco looks like. And then the holo of Diamond Dasher too, like they just all look so good in this lighting. And then here they are in yellow lighting, and the flurry is just thriving in this lighting as well. However, the blue is no longer visible. It looks predominantly silver with some holo going in. And then I really like how Ice Angel is looking like under this lighting. You are getting the holo flare, but also because the yellow light warmed it up, it's a nice touch to it. Call Me Vixen looks good too. The holo's there. I feel like the red glitters is more prominent. Silent Night just again looks very dark, off black almost, and Pirouette Pink is looking like a crushed candy cane. I don't know, I feel like there is some redness to it that I wasn't able to catch fully during the swatches, but can see it in this lighting. I forgot to mention, but all of these polishes, with the exception of the toppers, are 2 coats and no top coat. The toppers is just 1 coat and no top coat. The toppers here are also thriving in my opinion. Wreath Havoc is again giving us that multi-shift. I feel like the gold aspect of the gold scatter holo is popping off more. And then Diamond Dasher is just looking good too. Like nothing too crazy of a difference. Hey, moving on to comparisons. Up first we have Wreath Havoc holo, and I thought of comparing it next to Mooncat's Nirvana Pro X and Crack's Pile of Leaves. Now Nirvana Pro X is in the same color range, but Nirvana Pro X gives you more for 1 coat than what Wreath Havoc does, and also the flakes of it is much bigger, and the color shifts of Nirvana is more vibrant, so the green is more of a true green and it's a pink shift to it. And then Piles of Leaves is pretty much fall as a topper, so nothing close to how Wreath Havoc looks. Next up we have Pirouette Pink, and I thought of comparing it next to Holo Taco's Toe Beans, Holo Taco's Sparkling Spurs, and Holo Taco's Blush Money. So Pirouette Pink is very pale compared to the other 3 counterparts. I think Toe Beans is almost there to that same range, but Toe Beans is a linear holographic, Pirouette Pink is a crushed holo, and Sparkling Spurs is also a crushed holo. However, the hue of pink is much darker than what Pirouette Pink is. And then I thought of comparing it next to ilnp's Dear Diary and ilnp's Claire. Now both of these are scattered holo jelly polishes, whereas Pirouette Pink is a crushed holo, but I would say Claire is kind of in the close dull pink range as Pirouette Pink, but not quite exact. And then Dear Diary is more of a bubblegum pink. Moving on over to Silent Night, and right off the bat I just want to apologize. It seems like my top coat for some reason got glitter in it, and so Silent Night here looks like there's some glitter on it, but just know Silent Night is a true Crelly. There's no special element to it, okay? So for Silent Night I thought of comparing it next to ilnp's Midnight Ink because that was their dark blue Crelly, and both of these are in 3 coats, and you can still tell that Silent Night is a blue, whereas Midnight Ink is just barely like showing off any hint of blue. It looks predominantly black. And then ilnp's Nocturnal, just wanted to see how the shade of blue would compare, but the shade of blue that Nocturnal has is coming from the shimmer. The base of it is pretty dark. So then I have here ilnp's Late Night and Holo Taco's Sunken Secrets. So big obvious here is that the other 2 are specialty finish, whereas Silent Night is not. But I do have to say that the base color of Late Night is very close to it. I would say it's more of a true navy, and of course the flakes. And then Sunken Secrets is a brighter navy blue, but linear holographic, so not exacts. Lastly, for Silent Night, I have here Holo Tacos Shady Navy and Holo Tacos Indigo Away. Now, do we see the elephant in the room? Indigo Away is so darn close to Silent Night. The only difference that I can decipher is that Indigo Away is a creme, meaning you have that full coverage, and Silent Night is a crelly, meaning you have a somewhat squishy feel to it, as is visible on these swatch sticks. You can see that Silent Night has some lighter areas compared to Indigo Away. However, the color range of these two is insanely similar in my opinion. Maybe Silent Night is a little bit more on the bluer side, where Indigo Away is that indigo color, but minuscule differences here. And then Shady Navy's on its own. It's too light. Next up, we have Holo Tacos Gold Scattered Holo Taco, and for that, I thought of comparing it next to Holo Tacos Gold Flake Taco and Tyler Trinkets Gold and Them Dare Hills. And I mean, the differences is there. The other two are more flaky derivatives, and the other one is the Scattered Holo. Moving on to Call Me Vixen, I have here Holo Tacos Naughty List and Holo Tacos Favorite Sister. On the bottle, Naughty List looks much darker, but I keep forgetting that it looks lighter when actually applied. So I wanted to compare Naughty List because it also has these red glitters and that hollow aspect to it. I feel like Naughty List is much more glitterified, and Call Me Vixen is much darker than Naughty List. And then Favorite Sister, it's on its own over here. It's more of that orangey red, and it's more vibrant and a frosted metal. And then I have here Mooncat's The Arsonist and Holo Taco Sacrificial Lacquer Unmagnetized. Like the Arsonist on the bottle looks much darker, but when applied on the nail or the swatch stick here, it's much more of a lighter red, especially when compared to a much darker red like Call Me Vixen. And then Sacrificial Lacquer, very red and bright red at that, and also magnetic. And then I want to showcase Call Me Vixen next to Holo Tacos Red Licorice and Holo Tacos Cardinal Sins. Cardinal Sins is another one that like looks darker on the bottle, but like when actually applied, it's much lighter. And then Red Licorice is more of a pinky red, but also a very linear holographic polish. And moving on to the more truer comparisons, I have here ilnp Sabrina and Tyler Trinkets Rhinestone Cowboy. Now both of these are technically darker reds. However, Sabrina has more of red flakies going throughout, and these flakes have more of an orangey red hue. And then Rhinestone Cowboy is technically a red base, however it's a blackened red base, and the flakes are gold, so with the red base on top of the gold flakes, it kind of makes them look a little bit orange. And between these two, you can tell that Call Me Vixen isn't really a true red, it's more of a berry red of sorts. And then lastly, I have here Holo Tacos Misfire and Holo Tacos Orbite Me. Now I thought Misfire might be the closest to Call Me Vixen, however Misfire has more of an orangey red hue to it, and the flakes are more prominent along with the hollow. And then Orbite Me is a much darker red, almost a dark brown looking kind of thing, and it's a crushed hollow, so very different formula and overall color. Now for Diamond Dasher Taco, I don't have anything like it, so I thought of comparing it next to Holo Tacos Shooting Star Taco, Holo Tacos Garden Party Taco, and Mooncat's Holo Mirrors. The Shooting Star Taco is the only hollow adjacent with Diamond Dasher, but the glitter size and type is very different. And then Garden Party Taco, same thing, different glitter size and type, and really no hollow in there. And then Holo Mirrors, it's just there for fun. Nothing really similar to Diamond Dasher. Moving on over to Ice Angel, I have here Holo Tacos Featured Guest and Mooncat Sheep's Clothing. Now, Featured Guest because it's technically another linear hollow, I believe, if I remember correctly, and it's also in that like white silver family of sorts, but the hollow flare of it is very different, but it does have that same shimmer, just at a different strength it seems. And then Sheep's Clothing is a linear holographic. However, I always say this, Mooncat's linear holographics are not strong enough for me to count them as linear holographics as it's shown here. Like Ice Angel is linear holographic. This is what I want. Sheep's clothing, she's cute and everything, but I want the flare and I want it visible, not just spread out like how it looks. But also sheep's clothing has a somewhat more orangey pinky color going around for the shimmer versus a warm orange and yellow. And then to keep up with the holo paired with the yellow orangey shimmer trend, I guess, we have here Holo Taco Sugar Rush and Holo Taco Glazed Over. So Sugar Rush is more white or a paler light gray of sorts, and the holo distribution is different. I believe Sugar Rush was the crushed holo of the Rock Candy collection, and Glazed Over is more of a truer white, not so much holo into it. And then I got curious on how Ice Angel looks next to Mooncat's Memento Mori and Mooncat's Ghost of Hecate, but it's pretty evident here that Memento Mori and Ghost of Hecate are on the wider spectrum, and the shimmers are very different. And another for fun comparison, I have here Mooncat's Pearl Clutcher and Mooncat's Dew Pearls. I thought Pearl Clutcher's shade of white would be similar to how Ice Angel would appear, but due to the linear holographics in there, it really transforms it into a silver versus a white. And then Dew Pearls does have that light hue blue there, and it looks much more frosty than how Ice Angel looks, so quite different. So moving on to in a flurry, I have here Holo Taco Sparkling Water and Holo Taco's Crystal Skies. So Sparkling Water I thought could maybe compare to the shade of blue that in a flurry is, and also give that like metallic-y feel to it, but I see here that it's quite different. I think Crystal Skies is the closest to that hue of blue that in a flurry has. However, Crystal Skies is more muted and it doesn't have that metallic shine. And then I thought of grabbing ilnp's versions of a frosted metal, which is Winter Dream and Snow Kiss. So I feel like these are so close, especially Snow Kissed. However, Snow Kiss is just ever so much of a lighter shade than in a flurry, and Winter Dreams, it's a beautiful shade, but it's just too vibrant. However, the metallic shine is there. ilnp's just has these smaller metallic flakes going throughout, whereas Holo Taco's metallic foils are pretty large compared to the ilnp ones, and it kind of gives it a textured grainy look to it. And then I got curious on how in a flurry compares to more aqua shades of blue. So I have here Holo Taco's Happily Ever Aqua and Holo Taco's Aqua Foil. Happily Ever Aqua is close to that shine that in a flurry gives, however it is a little bit more dulled out, and the shade of blue is of course very different along with the holo formats. And then Aqua Foil, it's on its own here, it's very different. Lastly, I have here Mooncat Cyborg Tears and Mooncat Star Destroyer, though I fear my Star Destroyer has tarnished just ever so slightly. However, I feel like Star Destroyer would have been closer if the blue was more prominent. I do recall having an issue with how much more silver leaning Star Destroyer was, and I couldn't really get that blue hue to come forward, which I guess in a flurry would have solved this. And then Cyborg Tears is technically a linear holographic, but it does have metallicness aspects to it, so it does have that similar shine, but of course the blue is more of an aqua versus a blue. And that concludes the swatch and comparison portion of this video. So let me know any and all your thoughts down below. I know this collection is kind of having conversations go left and right. Very interested in what you think, and of course let's have some nice discourse going on in the comments. So interestingly enough, Evan and I had a conversation because I was rather annoyed at the fact that any of these items in the advent calendar is only purchasable by buying the entire advent calendar. I would have been fine if there was the option for people to purchase the items individually like they usually do with other collections. I'm curious if Chris is going to talk about it on her stream, like launch stream. I don't know if I'll be tuning into that. I think I'll be traveling during that time. But in my mind, it makes more sense if they did the full-size bottles, which is already in their catalog. It's already like there for them to use, and they filled those full-size bottles up with the polishes of this collection and sold them individually because the minis are only meant for the calendar. Like, I would believe that the advent calendars are kind of already assembled and it's maybe a matter of grab a collection box, send it out. Then my other rant is the fact that some of these were limited edition when I feel like they weren't limited edition worthy. So Gold Scatter Holo is one of the few that I very much enjoyed and would have purchased myself as a consumer. Is it the gold holo that's the issue, like the sourcing issue? Is that why it's limited edition? Like, I'm curious to know why some of these polishes were catered as limited edition. Like that blue Crelly doesn't make sense in my mind why it's limited edition, especially when it's so darn close to Indigo Away. Indigo Away is a creme, Silent Night is a Crelly, but once you build it up, I mean, can you tell the differences? Probably not, like, unless you really scrutinize the nail and like hold them up to the lights and you see your nail line, like, oh, I can see my nail line here, but I don't see it on the creme. Like, that's so minuscule. And then in a Flurry, which is the blue frosted metal, why is Cold Shoulders 2.0 limited edition when Cold Shoulders was a permanent polish for a while before it got taken off because of tarnishing issues? On a lighter note, I wish there was a green. Wreath Havoc does have a green aspect to it. However, comma, it is not green. Like, I'm looking at all these little trees in the advent calendar and I'm like, a green would have been nice. You know, a nice break from the ads of sorts. Like, I think I would have preferred the green over the blue, honestly. Or if the blue was a glittery dark blue, I would have preferred that. But anyways, my top 3 of sorts, or maybe 2, is Call Me Vixen. I love a deep berry red. And it's glittery, very pretty. I love the holo, I love the red little glitters that sprinkle through. And then Gold Scattered Holo. That is so pretty, so demure, and just when paired with Silent Night and honestly any dark polish, so to go away, it's so lovely to look at, and I just wanna gaze into it, you know? I just wanna gaze into the holo. So those are my thoughts and opinions on this whole collection and the advent calendar. I don't usually say this, but don't forget to subscribe and like this video, ring the bell notification thing. I know it's annoying, but like, it does help the channel, and I finally got monetized. A couple of other features have opened up on YouTube. I'm not sure if I'll ever do like super chats or memberships, just cause like, I'm trying to think of what I could deliver that would make sense to give you memberships. If I do memberships, I wanted to make sure that I give you content where it would feel more personable, I guess, but that's way too much into the future for me. Like, I'm okay with just being monetized right now. It'd be great if the channel grew, of course, but like, I can't control that. That's totally up to you if you like the stuff I make, and if I make stuff for you to like, you know? So anyways, thank you so much for getting me into this milestone of, I think we have 6,500 subscribers, and me being monetized. Like, that's all because of y'all. Like, you are the ones watching the videos, you're the ones giving YouTube the watch hours that allowed me to get monetized, and it's literally because of y'all that I want to continue making videos, because with YouTube I feel like it's nice to get a community to converse with y'all. Like, I don't know, I just really enjoy where we're going, and I hope that, you know, we stick around and continue it. So again, thank you so much for making this possible, and for subscribing, for commenting and liking and all that stuff, because it really does add up and it helps me a lot, you know, moving forward with this channel. So yeah, enough saps. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Bye. Do we like the headband? I got it off the thrift store. It was the only holiday headgear of sorts at the thrift store. $1.20. Such a great deal. Oh my god.